discussing about routing. So for routing, few basic points I already explained that routing is a technique used in web applications to configure SEO and user-friendly URLs. So it is the primary technique used for SPA, that is single page applications, for navigation in building single page applications, SPA. So that what is advantage is user can stay on one page and can get access to everything from the page. That's what actually the point. New details are added to page without reloading the complete page. It uses AJAX mechanism. The new details are added without reloading the complete page. So that is actually the concept of routes. Generally, in the web technologies, routing can be defined server side routing will be there, and it can be defined client side. Both will be there. Server side also we have routing, client side also routing. Server side routing is different server side technologies used while creating APIs, while creating server side applications. They use server side routing. Client side routing means in the front end. Client side routing is done in the front end. Front end is so Angular, React. So these use front end. Node.js, ASP.NET, different server side technologies. They use server side routing. We have client side, server side. Actually, server side routing is mostly used for API requests. They are used mostly for API requests and resource requests. For API and resource requests, we use server side routing. Actually, we have seen already so many, like you have seen fake store. So these fake store people, what they do? Fake store api.com/products/2. Actually, this is server side routing. That means they created a request called products with the parameter 2. So it will get the second product details and display. That means what it will do? It connects to database and it reads and return the data. That means it is used backend. Server side, we use these kind of routes. That is server side routing. Client side routing is, so client side routing is used in front end libraries and frameworks. In front end libraries and frameworks we use, right? So that means it will be, yesterday I showed you now, like http:// some amazon.in/ we have electronics, like that. So yesterday I showed you that you can directly filter any particular query, any particular category by requesting in the URL. So we have server side routing, we have client side routing. And here the point is how React uses this routing. In the front end, how React uses routing. What is the basic routing? Architecture of routing, I explained. So I explained in the architecture itself. Client makes a request. Request will come to web server. Web server will process the request using in HTTP processing pipeline by using handler. Handler uses routing engine. Routing engine uses a route table, right? That flow I already explained. How the route flow works, we already discussed. So I think the architecture of route. The basic route architecture is this. This is the basic route architecture. Actually, you make a request. The request will come to processing pipeline. In the pipeline, we will have a handler. The handler will process the request using routing engine. Actually, these are the names of routing engines. Spark, Namel, Zango, Razor. These are different route engine names. They are responsible for handling this complete routing concept. IV is also a route engine. Django is name of a framework also. Right? Python people use a framework. By the same name, you have a route engine also. Right? So this route engine is going to verify whether the requested path is available in their application or not. If it is available, then it will load that component and deliver to the client. If not available, it will show reasonable message like not found and all. So let's see how this actually works. For handling this, you need to know React routing library. So React routing library, actually React up to version 17, React up to version 17 and early 18 uses routing library v5. It uses the routing library v5 version 5. Actually, it is React router DOM. That is 5. React router DOM, the version is 5. That is the library name. We have a React routing library that. But in 18, latest 18, that means in 18 minor releases happened. That means in the beginning of 18, we used the 5 version only. But now React 18 minor releases are there. That means some more changes they made. In the latest React, so latest React 18 plus versions use actually React router DOM version 6. Version 6 is the current version. React version is 18. The routing version is 6. Remember, versions may be changing, but route engines will not change regularly. They will not change. That means even so many versions are changing. They add some new methods, they add some new functions, but engine they don't change. Engine is very stable. Very rarely, if they have certain very drastic changes, then what happens? Very drastic changes means then they will change the version. For example, just like every year a car company releases a car model, but engine is for more than 15-20 years. They don't change until or unless they have some faults, they are having some issues, or until or unless they invented a very drastic change in it, They don't release the new version for that. That's the reason 18 versions of React, but routing is still 6. That means double, triple time React version changed, but routing not changed. Why? Because it is a concept which doesn't require regular change. And if any new advanced invention they have done, then they will increase the version. But actually, what happened very recently is React router version 6 is a complete rewrite of routing, a complete rewrite of routing. That means actually what people think version 6 means it is improved from version 5. That means already what is version 5 having to that version 5, some new features they may add. That means they will keep everything same, some extra features they will add. But unfortunately, it's not like that. They completely rebuilt the library. They completely reconstructed the library. So you cannot use the library in the same way how you used in old version. The lot of changes are there because they completely reconstructed the library of routing to the modern generation. So whatever the modern generation of web application needs, and overcoming the previous issues, they improved this one. That's the reason when you are learning React and you have to work for companies on React, sometimes you will face this problem. I will show you old version also, syntax later. Why? Because majority of companies are still using version 5 only. Majority. Even online also, when you look at React tutorials, React related videos, so they may be still explaining you about version 5, which will not work now. Why? Because so the latest version, because videos they may post 1 year back, 4 months back, 5 months back. At that time, which version is there, that version they use. But if they update it, very good. Otherwise, you should be careful which version you are using, right? So we will first see what is there in the latest, and we will later see the syntax difference in old version how we write and in the new version how we write. Let's see. So this React library, first step, what you have to do is you have to install React router DOM library. So npm install React router DOM. This will install the latest version. If you are trying to install some old version, if you want to install any old version means you can mention that, like npm install React router DOM @v5, like this you can mention. If you don't mention the version, always the latest library will install. That means what package manager will do is it will always download and install the stable one, latest stable one. If you want any old version, any package, not only this, suppose you want to install Bootstrap 4 version. Currently Bootstrap version is 5. Your company is still using Bootstrap 4. Then you use npm install Bootstrap @4. If you want to install any old version, right? This is the option, right? Next, after you installed this library, now this library will provide some important hooks. It will provide some important components for routing. Actually, so route components. For route components, so we are having a component called browser router, and we have routes, and we have route, and we have link. So these are initial, the basic initial. We also have later others I will show you. We have outlet and all this. So browser router routes, route, link, and outlets. And these are the important components actually. These are route components. Actually, how we use these components and work with them, we are going to see practically how they work. So what is the hierarchy for this? What is the concept is? For that, you need to understand this diagram, which I already showed. So this is the React architecture. So this is the architecture here. Actually, we have a React application. In this React application, I want to implement the navigation system. We want to implement navigation. If you want to implement navigation, actually the navigation in JavaScript is managed by which object? Any idea? Navigation in JavaScript, navigation in application means from one page to another. That is actually managed by an object called location. Location is a JavaScript object which is used to handle the navigation in HTML application, in any web application. In web application, the navigation is managed by using this location. Location have options like href. Location have options like .hash. Location have options like path name like this. Location is the object which is used by JavaScript for handling navigation. From one page to another, the navigation is managed by this object. Now, generally, here, this location object belongs to the actual DOM. It belongs to actual DOM. So actual DOM, it belongs to the actual DOM. But React cannot interact with actual DOM. React needs to interact with virtual DOM. And for that, what React uses is, React uses a browser router. React is going to use a browser router. This browser router will actually map to the location. It will map to the location, and it is responsible for handling navigation. So any navigation system you are trying to implement in React, it must be inside this browser router. Inside browser router. If you want to handle some navigation in your application, make sure that it is inside this browser router. Anything you written outside the browser router, so it cannot handle navigation. Why? Because your virtual DOM have to communicate with the actual DOM. Virtual DOM routing is browser router. Actual DOM routing is location. So if you write anything outside this browser router, it will not map to this location. Then navigation will fail. So you have to make sure that everything you written in browser router. So what is browser router? It is a container that configures the entire navigation in application. Entire navigation in application is configured in one container, and that container is browser router, right? So what is browser router? It is a container that configures navigation. So navigation with the virtual DOM. With virtual DOM. So it is a container that configures navigation with virtual DOM. That is important. Now, in that navigation, what are the routes that can be served by your application? That is decided by using a route table. We have this route table. What are the routes which can be served by our application? That is defined by using route table. That means route table decides what requests your application can handle. You saw yesterday in Amazon, I requested some paths. Few paths worked, few paths said, I don't found this. Right? That means what are the requests your application can handle? Those requests information is maintained in a table. So table is a collection of routes. Table is a collection of routes. And how to create a route table? Route table is created by using routes. So it is used to configure a route table. Route collection is nothing but it is a collection of routes. And actually you saw here in this diagram, you see this is route table. In this table, so this is the route table. In this table, how many routes are there? 2 routes. One route is home, another route is login. So this is a collection. This is a collection of routes. And how this collection is created? Collection is created by using these routes. How every route is by using route. That means it configures individual route in table. That means what should be the request path and which component it should deliver. That information is defined by using route. That means you observe carefully in the diagram. Every route is having 2 details, path and it is having component. That means what is the request path? On that request, what to deliver. That is configured. That is configured by using route. That is configured by using route, right? We will see that practically. Link is nothing but it creates a hyperlink that navigates to route path. Why? Because in routing, ordinary links will not work. Ordinary links means anchor. Generally for navigation, what we do? Anchor. We use anchor A. A is used for navigation. Anchor is used for navigation. Intra-document or inter-document navigation we manage by using anchor. But anchor is okay for managing actual DOM routes. Virtual DOM, anchor cannot manage. Anchor cannot manage virtual DOM. So we need to create a pseudo anchor. Virtual DOM link is created by using link. It is just like an anchor, but it is related to virtual DOM, right? Because React cannot use actual DOM. So then it is a hyperlink that navigates to any route path. Link is a hyperlink. Outlet is nothing but it is a container that defines so where to render output. Generally output will be rendered at the specific position. If you want to change the position where to render, That means when user clicks, I want to display somewhere right side corner. That means we want to change the position, or we want to keep a position where to render the result. When user selects anything, where it should display, that you can decide, you can control by using outlet. Outlet defines where to render the output which is requested by client, that we can manage using outlet. So we will see how to use these options, right? Level by level we will see, because it's a very big concept. It is a very big concept. Lot of things are required, right? Level by level we will see, because in routing so many concepts are there. So first, how to create the route like this? How to create the route? Uh, First, you need to define a browser router. In the browser router, you will have routes. In the routes, you will have route. Every route will have a path, and every route will have a element. So that is the route. So we can configure just an route. Like this, you can define multiple routes. Route can have a path, and it can have an element. So this is basic route first. After that, the routes are closed, and after that, browser router is closed. That's how we configure the route. This is the way how you define the routes. So let's see how this works first. First, a basic thing we will see. So let's create here some basic content here. First, we will install this library in our project. So in this project, we will create one. First, we will install. Open the terminal. In the terminal, you have to install routing library here. So the routing library, npm install react router dom and save. That is the library you have to install. React router dom is the library. If you are already working in any existing projects in React, then you can first check which version of routing they are using. Based on that little change in syntaxes and all, that you will find in package.json file. You can go to package.json file and you can find out which version library they are using. Right? Okay, so the router library is fine. Now you can file package.json. Here you will find React router DOM is 6.14. That's the React router DOM version is. If you see in any project it is not 6, then so many changes are there. Right? For that, I can't disturb this project now. I will show you separate. One more example we will create there. I will show just syntax how it works. Old version we have to install. So this is, and you see this is very latest, 5 days ago. Means latest 5 days ago, it changed. That means If we haven't gone through the documentation, some changes may happen, some issues may come, right? If they made any drastic changes, those issues will come. Otherwise, it's okay. Let's see. Now we will see how to configure the routes. What is the main concept is all these days what we are doing, we are creating so many components. For every example, one component. Then every day what we are doing, we are going to index, we are changing the startup, and we are testing our component. In reality, we don't do like that. What we do, we will have only one startup component, and in that we design complete navigation. That means we will say that I have this, I have this. You click here, you can get it. User will stay on only one page, and he must able to access everything on that page. Everything on that page. We will see that how to manage. Different examples I will show you. First, here, let's say in the concept, first I will show you very basic route. How we can create a basic route is, so let's create a new folder. This folder name, tutorial app. Just I given a tutorial app. I just added a tutorial app. And in this tutorial app, I am adding, so tutorial app.jsx. Tutorial app.jsx. Now here we will create the component. So export function tutorial app, that is the component. So it will return a markup. So class name, so container fluid. Now here I keep a heading, so tutorial home. Okay. Now what I want here is, I want to display some tutorials here, but not all at a time. Which one user wants, he can see that. That means we have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, React, some tutorial. But I want to show only the tutorial that user wants for that particular situation. Then how you can design in such a way that all will be there, but only one will be displayed. All will be there, but only one will be displayed. And user can change which one he want. He can switch which one he want. How to configure that? First, we will make this in the startup. That means here we will keep which one? Tutorial app. Still it is not having the complete structure. We are creating just one component. So let's start this, npm start. So we are starting with tutorial app. Now in this, let it start here. Now in this tutorial application, I want to create a set of tutorials from where user can watch only what he wants. Then here we are creating a browser router. Browser router is imported from React Router DOM. It is imported from React Router DOM. That is the library. Okay. In browser router, we are configuring routes. Routes is a collection of routes. It is used to create a table. In the table, we have route. Every route have some details like path. Path indicates what is the request you are expecting. Request type. That means path usually, suppose I given here as some HTML. The request path is HTML. That means how they request like this. how the request path will be http://127.0.0.1 colon what is the port number 3000 in that slash HTML. That is the request path. That is how we are expecting the request path. If request path is this, then what to render? If they requested this, then what to render? There are 2 points. One is directly you can render some markup, or you can design a component and render that component. Your wish, you can configure anyway. So first, I will show you here. Directly we can render a markup. So directly we can render the markup. That means here what I am doing is I am defining element. Element is equal to here we can design directly the markup what we want to render. Directly markup means let's say I will keep a div. In the div, let's put a heading. So like HTML, a heading like HTML and some information about it. That means it is a markup language like that we are using. So when user requests HTML, now it will return this. Okay. Now, similarly, you can create all the routes. Second route. So if the route path is CSS, then what is the element? Element should be some container. And in that we have H5. This is CSS. So it defines styles for HTML. Like this we are defining. Like this, you can add all the routes. Currently, I have 2 routes. One is HTML, another one CS. And see now, it is in the screen. It is not displaying anything. It is not displaying anything because it will display only what you are requesting. You can query directly from URL. How? In the URL, I can request //HTML. Then hit enter. It will get that HTML and show. In the URL, I can request CSS. I can request CSS. It can directly request that CSS and show. But from URL, if you are requesting, then page will reload again and again. So what we do, we put simple links. Through the links, user can access what he wants. That means now how do we and one more, if I'm not requesting anything, directly empty is coming. Not like that. If user is not requesting, and one more is, if I'm requesting here /JS, I'm requesting, it is not showing anything because there is no request called JS. How do I know? How do I know? I may be still waiting for it to open, right? That means I may think that some website is not working properly, right? It is unable to show my information. What Amazon people done yesterday when we requested something which is not there, they showed some message. Actually, when you are configuring the routes here, so here you see, so the route path here, route path is defined with a reference, so which is requested from URL, So route will have path is equal to home like this. How it is requested? http://localhost and /home. That is how it is requested. You can have path like, so path can be anything. Sometimes people use shop home. You can have hyphens or something. These days we see these kind of things. That means http://localhost, what it is 3000, and shop home, that is the request. right? So you can define the route path. Okay, that is good. Second one is, so every route we must configure environment which can be direct marker or any mark from a component. That means you can define route, you can define path is equal to some, you can write element. Element can be directly some markup. You can have directly some markup and it says home like this. You can define directly like this. Directly markup you can write, or you can define a component. That means you can write route path. Route path is equal to home and element is equal to, in this element, you can directly put here home component. That means what does this means? It will return whatever output is defined inside that component. You can directly write the markup or you can bring the markup from an existing component and you can use that component. So, but remember, if you are trying to access any component, that component must be first imported in your component. Then only you can access, right? Now here, another important point is, so React can configure, React can configure, it can configure, we call as wildcard routes. React can configure wildcard routes. Wildcard routes actually will be like this: route with path slash. This indicates, this is path slash. What does this indicates? It refers to content to display, when user is not requesting, any specific path. If user is not requesting any specific path, then what should come by default? That you decide, right? So by default, what should come? That you can decide. By default, you can put some message. By default, you can put some component. That means usually what happens, you see, when we open some netflix.com, then automatically the screen that opens, that screen will be index. That means whenever we access Netflix, index component is automatically coming. We are not requesting index, right? Without requesting, if anything has to come automatically, that is defined like this. We have to use slash. And we have another one in the wildcard, route path is asterisk. This indicates what this indicates. So it refers to content to display when requested path not found. That means user is requesting something which is not at all there. If user is requesting something which is not at all there, that means in the route table there is no path by that name and he is trying it. Then what to do? That you decide here. What to do means you display some error message, you display some error component, right? These are called wildcard routes. So when you are defining routes, this is very important. It can configure wildcard routes. Let's write that. You see now, when I am writing here, you see, I am requesting just localhost, then it is empty. It should not be empty. So let's do one thing. What you can do is, you can make this HTML to come automatically. How we can make this HTML to come automatically? I will put a slash. Then what will happen? Automatically HTML will come. I'm not requesting anything here. I'm not requesting anything here. So we are not requesting anything here. By default, which one is coming? HTML. So I don't want like that. I will keep HTML and I will write wildcard route. How do we define wildcard route? We have to write route, and in the route, what we need to do, route path is slash. If it is slash, then element. Current, I will put an element. Element is a simple div. So in that, so we will put a simple paragraph saying that tutorial home. So we provide something like this. We provide HTML, CSS tutorial. Like this we are defining. And you can see by default this will come. So by default it will come. And if you are requesting here, HTML, HTML will come. If you are not requesting anything, then it will get tutorial home. That means you are not requesting anything, then by default what to display, that you can define, right? That is done by using this route. Let's put a wildcard route. That means here I am adding a wildcard route. So I am writing here route, and this route path is asterisk. Then what is the element? Element is nothing but, so the element to render, I will keep a div and I will keep a head. This is like code. Yeah, in the code, so we say not found, and the tutorial you requested not available, not found, like this. That's the message we are giving. Code is a HTML element. Code is an HTML element, HTML5 element, which is used for displaying error code and all. So you see now here, this is there. At the top, I am requesting CSS, then CSS content will come. I am requesting here JS, and it should say not found. And code have directly some color style, font style, appearance and all. Code is a HTML5 element actually. You know HTML5 have some new elements, semantics like code. They have like SAM, they have like var, right? These are, so we have like big, these are some new semantics of HTML5, right? So usually this is general how we display the option, right? Now, if user requests anything which is available, so then it will display. User is not requesting anything, then it is out. And here one very careful thing you should notice. So always keep wildcard routes at the end. Always keep wildcard routes at the end. Don't try to write these at the top or in between of route. All the wildcard routes should be end, bottom, last. You need to configure them last, right? Now this is okay, but we are still not satisfied with, because why should I request every time in URL? I need to just give some links so that user can navigate. That means what you can do is actually, so routes are requested from URL. You can set URL with the link component. We can set URL with link component. Actually, that is the point. If anybody asked you in an interview, like, can you tell difference between href and src? What is difference between href and src? So why image is having src and why link is having href? Both are referring to file. One is referring to jpg, png or some image file. Another is referring to css file. Then why one is href, another one is src? Why can't image have href? Href is path, src is also path. Then what is difference? What is difference? Any idea? First question reasonable, because sometimes when you are attending interviews, some questions you will face which you may not you may think that they are not reasonable questions, but actually sometimes technically they may have a concept behind them, right? So unnecessarily everyone don't ask whatever he likes, right? There will be certain point about that tests your experience levels. Means you simply by hearted that image is src and the link is href, or do you really know what they do, right? So majority learners simply by heart that image src. Why src? Why not href? Why path? Because the concept is very simple. Actually, this href, href, actually href is this href, right? Yeah. This href is usually this href is a setter and this src is a getter. That means src will get the path, but href is not getting the path, it sets the path. How do you think anchor? How do you think generally? So this is setter. You see, you have an anchor. Href is equal to home.html. Do you know what will happen when I click on home? Do you know what will happen when I click on this home? What will happen when I click on this home is, what happens when I click on home is, in the address bar, what it will do is, it will put home.html. That means what happens when I click on this home? It will set this in the URL. It will set in the URL. When it sets in URL, automatically it will navigate to that location. Because any value set in URL, it will navigate to that location. That means it sets to that particular one. You can request anything like this. It sets. It is not getter. SRC is a getter. SRC is not setting image. It is accessing image. And href is not accessing. It is setting. It is requesting it. Separate request will go. Separate request will go. Href will make a separate request. You will see here. Suppose this is the page. So you know this last session also I showed you this demo. Last session I showed you. This have an ID na? That means it is having ID. So it is having IDs like fashion, footwear, IDs are present. You see, I will keep here an anchor. Href is equal to hash fashion. And I said fashion. Like this I written. And I am using another anchor. Href is equal to hash foot. And I say footwear. Like this I design. Now, usually what happens here is, let's run this and see. You will find currently, this is the URL you are having. Do you know what happens when I click on footwear? It will set that hash foot here, setter. When it sets that URL, automatically it navigates. You can directly set. Here I can set fashion. Then automatically it will take to fashion. What link is doing? It is setting a value. Due to that set of value in address bar, browser can navigate you to that location. How navigation works? Navigation can work only through address bar. Address bar will decide where to take you. You are clicking links. That means you may be thinking like it is navigating. It is not navigating. It is setting a URL. That URL is navigating. Address bar is navigating to that particular place, right? That is the basic question actually. That means what is difference between that href and this one? That means how to set a URL by using link component we can set. That means what we will do is we will create a link and a link to the route path. You have to define the route path. Link to the particular route path. And here you can put a text, you can put an image, or you can put any icon or anything, right? And you can just close the link. Because you know that link is clickable text or clickable picture or clickable graphic. You can link any, right? It is going to link. It can be text, picture, image, or anything you click, it will take to that particular location. So how do we create the links now? Let's see here in our tutorial page where you want the links. Under this heading, I will create a nav. And in this nav, we are creating the link. Link is actually the router element. This is a router element. It's a component. Now, what should be the link text? Link text should be so HTML, or link text should be home. What is the second one? Another link I will create. This should be HTML. Another link we will create CSS. Another link, so only then this. Now this should link to which path? Link to slash. So slash is home, right? And what this should link to? Link to what? HTML. What this link to? This should link to what? CSS. That means now you can see here. So here we have the options. You see, it is having a base name. It is showing that context, it cannot be null, and it is having some base name. So what is that base name? That means what is the problem in this base name? Why it is unable to handle this navigation? Why it is unable to handle navigation? You see where you return it. You return it outside browser router. So this navigation goes inside the browser router. That means this is navigation inside the browser router. We are configuring them. Now you can see it is that. The point I told you, any routing related thing should be inside browser router. Then it cannot navigate. Right? So that is the basic point we discussed in this area. That is the basic thing we discussed. That means it is a container that configures navigation. Navigation related anything, it should be inside this. Otherwise, it cannot manage. Now you see here HTML, CSS. I will put another pipe here. You can just design anyway. And you can see these are three. I click on HTML, then it should get. I click on CSS, it should get the CSS. A home, then it gets the home. Whenever you are bringing, you can see that it is set here. Whenever you click on CSS, it sets that in the location. Without link also we can set, but every time it will reload. Now, whenever you are requesting new content, page is not loading. Page is not loading. So let's do one thing here. What I will do is here, I will configure. So some var, so date or say constant and access and set access. And here we will define or simply access is equal to use state. And here we will define, so new date is going to load the current date. And here I will define, so a paragraph, page last fetched on the particular time we are defining here. So access dot to local time string, we are using it. That means the page last fetched on 8:22 p.m. So that is the last fetched time. And I click on HTML, means this is 2 seconds. I am clicking on CSS. You see time is not changing, but topic is changing. That means I click on HTML. Time is not changing. That means the new details are added to page without reloading the page. That means when I reload this page, refresh, when I refresh the page, then you see the time changes here 21:08. Without reading, the new details added to page. If anybody asks how you design this with query as Ajax work is this. jQuery Ajax is used for building single page environment, new details without reloading the page. That's how we use the concept of SLA. Of we need to implement. Now it is inbuilt. It's using Ajax. It is just any component I can get. For example, see here, let's say the link is having, let's create. So here I am creating another route. Okay. This route path is, I will give login. But actually login, I don't want to design. Already there is login design, right? We will use that component. Which component? Login component. Suppose in class, in life cycle, somewhere login is there. I will access this one. So that is the login we are having. That means now you see that login from class component is there. What I want to do is I will put a link for that here. So I keep a link, and that link is login, and it should link to where? Login. That means now you have a login also. When I click, that login will come here, and you see the entire page comes here. It's a complete component delivered here along with all your fetch methods, everything. That means you are accessing any component here. And you can see this is CSS, this is HTML, this is home, and this is the login component. Actually, I think in login, this content is there. So that means it is having some options. However, it doesn't have any functionality written there. If written, that functionality also works here, which we will do, which we will create like that. So this is the concept. That means you can render a markup or you can render the output coming from any component. Now you know how to do. What you will do, you keep one component in the startup and all components you can link, and user can click which component he wants, that will open. You can test it. That means you can access all of them here and you can see. So that means, so navigation is configured and it is defined in such a way that User will stay at one place. He can bring anything there. That means you can access all these components that you have, right? So that means, so all these components like register, like NASA API, whatever. So like EMI calculator, right? For example, here I defined, so another route path. So we need to configure another route path. So this is route and the route path is EMI. And what is the element? Element to render. Element is actually, so we will use here EMI calculator. That is the route. And here a link we need to configure. And this have a span, yeah, link, and this link to EMI. And link to EMI. That's it. Now you can see there is an EMI here. I click on that, that EMI calculator will come. And it is having some functionality. Those functionalities here, they are working fine. That means those functionality here, it is working fine and getting that. Everything is working here. Just you need to bring your content and display here. That means now you will have only one startup page, right? And everything, that startup page is usually index page. In that index page, startup component is actually app component. And in that app component, all the routing is defined, right? It's not necessary that you have to use only app component. Any component can be yours. Because usually whenever you create a React application, by default, they give one component. What is it? App. If you want, you can use it as the starting component. In that, you can design all the routes so that user can access and use, right? This is a simple, this is first level. So it is not finished with routing. This is only first level of route. How you can create routes, how we can access, and how we can use, right? So lot of points are there. This is an best example for example, and the example is this tutorial app dot what JSX, and in this all this is defined. Now we will create one good navigation. We will create one good navigation with data communication. That means, for example, we will create a complete end-to-end interface. Like user will user wants to open a website, and in that website, when he opens, in the initial screen we will give register log. That means our concept is user can view the content only after login. Login, first user need to register. User selects register. A registration form should come, and user fills the form and submits. It should store the data in database. After that, he will be navigated to login page. In login page, he will enter the credentials which are verified with the database. If they are matching, then automatically it will navigate to which location? Some home page. There we will show all the content. That means how you will dynamically navigate. Here currently how user is navigating. Here how it is navigating, link click. Not link click, situation wise it should navigate. Situation, that is very often asked in interview also. They ask like how you will handle dynamic navigation. Dynamic navigation means you enter user ID password correctly, then navigate to home. If entered wrongly, then navigate to error page. In error page, say that invalid credentials, try again. That means how user can navigate dynamically from one place to another. Manual navigation is done with link. Dynamic navigation is actually done by using, that means you can handle dynamic navigation by using router hook. We can use a router hook. So, and actually the router hook is use navigate. That is the router hook. Use navigate is the router hook. That means actually dynamic navigation means, you see here, I will create here a constant navigate is equal to constant. Yeah. So navigate is equal to use navigate. Use navigate is a function. It is a hook actually. It is a hook of React router DOM. Now, what this use navigate can do is can handle dynamic navigation. Dynamic navigation means I'm not using any link. I'm using a button. So in this button, what I am doing here in this button, I am giving as CSS, suppose CSS or some other component, whatever you are having. So CSS I am defining. So this is a button. Class name I will give BTN primary something. Now this is the button we are having. Where is it? In the context of router. So where it is? Where in the context of router, where the router is there, already it is there. Uh, Navigate is enough. Let's check here. It is in the router context only where you are using. So we are having some function. This function is suppose CSS click. Okay. Say handle click. Okay. So navigate to the specific path. Navigate to which one is CSS is the path. Where is the button? So button have on click, handle click. So use navigate have some issue. From where it is imported router DOM. Let's check the constant. No. We will check, is there any change made in this? Because this use navigate is enough actually. Some change because we are handling the change. Let's see the document here. This is 16.14 version, which is recently changed. So use navigate is same. Uh, Means they made some change, I think, in this version. Navigate function is having to which location it is there. Use navigate is the effect. So they are not making any change in this. So no problem here. Navigate. Navigate to which path here? I say some /cs or something. It's not working. Somewhere problem. We are writing correct only. Let's check this. Because according this version changes, there is no change. Same. Use navigate. We are just verifying any version changes. But as per these people, there is no change. These are fine. On click, hooks you cannot declare here. It is same constant. Navigate. Use navigate. Or we will see navigation. Navigate to which path? /css path. So this is also not. Actually, this use navigate should. Acha, so some not there. Because hooks we cannot declare outside. cannot be called there. This wrong. You can't call in a function also actually. So it is in this only. Okay, let me do one thing. This buttons. It is a variant. Hey, I will check once because it's not a problem. This is how generally we use the dynamic route. In the official document also same process is there. I will check any issue in this area where you are trying to use. Let it is having issue in this importing only. Let's check any more messages there. So it is asking to use outside. Let's clean up this. I will do one thing here. When user clicks on EMI or EMI, this is coming. Okay, here, let's go to EMI component. In this EMI component, at the bottom or top, I will put a button here. Button and home. And here we have on click, handle, home click. So we will write a function, handle home click. On home click, So here we will declare a router constant navigate is equal to use navigate from router DOM navigate, and on handle click navigate to suppose home slash something like this. Click on home. Okay, it's working fine. What is only the problem here is it's dynamically working fine. Problem is I designed everything in one page, right? That means all the components hierarchy we created in one page. Actually, they have to come from which location? From another page. You came from another page and you need to navigate to another page. Dynamic navigation, what I am trying to do previously is in the same page I am trying to navigate. CSS is in same location, right? I am trying to navigate in the same location. That is why it is showing error. So we can navigate from one page to another. That will possible if you have multiple pages. This environment we will create in next example. Means multiple pages, login to register, register to login. In the previous example, everything was in only one. That's the reason that issue is coming, right? Now, this is a button. This is not a link. What this button will do when you click, it will dynamically navigate to that place. It will dynamically navigate to that location. So you can handle navigation dynamically without a link by using a hook called what? So we have a hook use navigate. For this, we will create one good example and see, right? So syntactically, we have to import use navigate from which location? React router DOM. After that, we need to create a constant navigate is equal to use navigate. And this should use navigate and to the path. You have to configure the path. That is what dynamic navigation is. This you write on any event. On any particular event, we can navigate. When drop down is changed. For example, you see websites is they have several cities related information. They ask you to select which city and you select some city name. It will navigate to that city page. It is going to navigate dynamically without link, with a button, with a drop down, we can handle the navigation. For that, you need this, right? For this, we will create one example, how it works. The first basic, how to configure the static route and how to configure a dynamic. Static route is just link, you click, it will navigate across according to situation. So you click a button, it will verify the conditions. If it is satisfying, it will navigate to one place. Otherwise, it will navigate to another. That is the mechanism how it works. So now we will create one real world example. What we will do is one project. Project is like a video library project, video tutorial library like project. That means we will maintain database, we will create API, and we will design front end. We must able to handle all CRUD operations. That means inserting, deleting, updating, all operations should work. That means we will create a simple video library like. That means user can register, user can log in, and he can watch video tutorial. Admin can log in and he can edit those videos. That means admin can add videos, admin can remove videos, admin can modify the video details, contents. User can just watch them. This entire scenario we will create with some backend. But for backend, you need to create the backend and work with the backend. You need the, I will take the concept of MERN stack now. MERN stack. MERN stack, we are going to use M. This is for MongoDB. The MongoDB is for database. We will use E. E is for Express. Express is a middleware. And R, so that is React. React is for UI, front end. And N, this is Node.js. Node.js, this is for server side. By using this, we will build a complete end-to-end application. So I'm not teaching you MongoDB Express Node.js. This is not that class, but I will give you what is required for our project. What is enough for our project, we will do that. And we will build a project now. And in that project, we must able to handle all the CRUD operation. Actually, people do in different way. Sometimes what people do is they install a JSON server in React. Through that JSON server, they can handle and learn all the CRUD operations because the JSON server will contain an API. But in reality, in high level, complete backend databases, middlewares, and server side technology and front end React is used. Same approach we will follow here. Actually, in other companies, sometimes the backend database will be Oracle or MySQL or SQL Server. Their server side may be Python or JSP or ASP.NET, and the front end will be React.js, right? That depends on technology. But why I am choosing MongoDB, Node.js, Express, because these are all JavaScript based. If I have to teach you through Oracle, I have to teach you Oracle queries again, right? I have to teach you about JSP means Java again, PHP means PHP. So for JavaScript people, these are enough. You can easily handle. We will create an end-to-end application now. So starting from database. Tomorrow, we will first look at the architecture of project. What is our project about? We will design the prototype. Then we will build that project with all the routing and navigation, how it works, right? Tomorrow we'll continue that.